So I want to clarify and kind of further elucidate on some things that I talked about in the previous video. Um, you know, when it comes to gang stalking and the two phases, like phase one, where the harassment begins, and then phase two, when you, out of your own free will, go looking for information about the topic. Because this is a very important thing that people don't seem to realize. So, with me, just to preface this, with me, uh, my gang stalking was done by the Freemasons. Was slash is, because uh, intermittent. Like, it will stop and start and ramp up suddenly and stuff like that. So it was and is Freemason based. Not everyone's program is Masonic. There are other groups out there that do it as well. Sometimes it's just, a jealous ex-girlfriend or a ex-boyfriend or something who will, there's groups that do it, there's individuals that do this type of stuff. It's not all one organization, you see, but it is all the same tactics, more or less. Um, even like workplace mobbing could be a form of, it is a form of organized harassment. It's on the lower level of severity as compared to like Masonic stuff, because the Masonic stuff is ruthless. It's ruthless and it's brutal. It's almost like you're being put through a trial. It's like I don't mean like a trial like a court case. I mean like a trial, like a biblical trial. That's what it feels like. And it's quite interesting because they put their own members through trials and Masonic trials and stuff to teach them lessons and things like that, which I find quite interesting actually. I've sometimes wondered that whether this stuff is just to teach us a lesson or something, Um, anyway, with Masonic gang stalking, right? It does tie into government gang stalking as well, with the surveillance and the various government agencies, intelligence agencies that are a part of it. You see, because most governments uh, are controlled by Freemasonry. The United States, the UK, all of the Commonwealth, uh, most of Europe, most of Africa, uh, Latin America, um, Asia, Freemasonry is very deeply embedded, some Middle Eastern countries, deeply embedded in these governments. And they have members within intelligence agencies as well. So, before the actual overt harassment begins, they can use their people that are embedded within the intelligence agencies to profile or monitor you and build a psychological profile on you. It's like in the movie The Game with Michael Douglas from 1997. That's why I think The Game is probably the best representation of gang stalking in film ever. It is exactly, it's blown out of proportion in the movie. But all of the little things and all of the key aspects of his harassment, it's exactly like gang stalking, you see. And what do they do before the harassment begins? They profile him and they analyze him psychologically for hours and hours and hours, right? If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about, right? And if you haven't seen it, watch it. So they need to know how your mind works before they begin the harassment. They need to know how you're going to react to stimuli, react to certain situations, what type of agents are best suited to your personality type, all of it. So these Freemasons that are within these intelligence agencies feed this information back to the lodge. Once it's in the lodge, this is where the real fuckery begins, because it's not just surveillance that you have to be worried about. Masons, especially the esoteric Masons, I'm not talking about like low-level Blue Lodge bullshit. I'm talking about the real deal, right? These people operate in just a different world. Okay? They operate in a different world. And when I said that gang stalking, a big part of gang stalking is magic, and that Freemasons utilize magic and they believe in magic, that's not me saying this. That's their words saying this. Freemason Kenneth Mackenzie, in his book The Royal Masonic Cyclopedia, said that magic is a science that objectively controls the world. That's the words of a Freemason, not me. I'm just showing you what he's saying. And remember, Freemasonry, they are responsible for a lot of gang stalking cases. And even in their own books from like the 1800s, they talk about gang stalking and organized harassment against their own members. Things like, destroying people's reputation, smear campaigns, destroying their business, stuff like that. Like, they do it to their own members. And remember, these are books from the 1800s, right? A long time ago. It's much, much more sophisticated now. You see, technology is used in the program. Technology is very good for gathering information and monitoring it, people. You hear people talk about monitoring spirits or something. They send a spirit after you to monitor you. I mean, why would they do that when they can just have their people in the intelligence agencies monitor you through your smart device? Like, think about it. There's an overlap between the esoteric and the technological, okay? Both of them have validity and bullshit in both sides. So, for example, monitoring spirits. Because when you are harassed by these people, phase 1. I talk about phase 1 and phase 2, or part 1 and part 2. Part 1 is the overt harassment. When they want you to know that you're being targeted, they deploy all the campaigns and all the bullshit and all the directed conversation and all the fuckery, right? This makes you inquisitive. And what do? You go online, you go looking for information, and then you find the TI community. That's phase 2. Phase 2. Because they control the narrative within the TI community. It's just phase 2 of the program. Once they have sensitized you with phase 1, made you aware that the harassment is taking place, they know that you are going to go looking for information about what's going on. Phase 2, you come across all these targeted individual blogs and targeted individual websites and all these obscure websites and YouTube channels and stuff that tell you 80% truth. They tell you, yes, you're being gaslit, you're being harassed, you're being this, you're being that. And you go, yes, that's true. And 80% of what they say is true, but then they'll throw in some wild bullshit saying how it's monitoring spirits, saying how it's this, saying how it's that. You see? Because they mix the truth with lies, because that's the best way of lying. That's the best way of deceiving someone and gaining your trust, is by telling you what you want to hear. And they know this. These people are masters of psychology. They understand human beings better than we understand ourselves, in a way. And you know, these narratives that go around online, it's like monitoring spirits and stuff. It's like, why would they need to send a monitoring spirit after you, whether you believe in monitoring spirits or not? Just ask yourself the question. When you have the technology of smartphones in 2025, and for a decade and a half now, they can monitor you in a real time. There is a microphone, there is a camera, there's 2 cameras on each side. There is a microphone. They can hear everything you say. They can see everything that you're searching. They can understand where your head's at based on that information. They can analyze facial reactions, everything, right, with the camera and everything. They have their members within intelligence organizations, intelligence agencies. They'll file a dossier, take it back to the lodge. They can build on the harassment based on the intelligence they've gathered. It's not monitoring spirits. But at the same time, when people talk about technology being a part of it, and they start getting into psychotronic weapons and this and that, look, dude, the program itself and the very sophisticated psychological manipulation itself can have adverse health effects on you because of the stress that it fucking induces. It doesn't mean that they're using psychotronic weapons on you, like technology that beams a pulse at you and blah blah blah. All that shit's nonsense. They can make you sick just from the stress alone. And if they can convince you on these weird obscure websites about targeting that it's being done by psychotronic weapons, and then you believe that shit, it's just gonna be worse. Once you start actually believing that you're being hit with psychotronic weapons, that's just going to damage you even more. Because these people deal in the unseen. They deal with the esoteric. They're very... I knew these people for a long time. I knew this guy, this one dude in particular. The main perpetrator in my gangstalking case, he was from a Freemason family, Freemason infested family. All of their family friends were a part of the lodge. All of them. They did not even associate with non-Masons. Their family friends, his parents' friends, were all part of this lifestyle. All part of this Masonic, whatever you want to call it. This hidden world, right, that exists all around us. And when I met him at age 14 or something, I didn't know what Freemasonry was. I didn't know that he was from one of these families. But even then, when I was 14 and when I first met this guy, I knew there was something off about him. There was something about him that was not the same as other people, and he would try to fit in with everyone else and try to kind of blend in, but there was always something sticking out. There was something not quite right about him. I knew this from the moment I saw him. Before we even started talking to each other, I would see him around. And I'd look at him and I'd be like, there is something up with that guy. There's something different about him. Because I actually met him in high school. You see, because I went to an all boys high school. It wasn't a private school. It was a public school, but it's quite highly esteemed. I don't want to say which school it is, but it's quite, highly esteemed public school. all boys, thousands of students, quite a large school. And it's a perfect breeding ground, perfect recruiting ground for Freemasonry. You see, because people don't even know Freemasonry exists. And if they do, they know fuck all about it. Most people. So how does an organization recruit members when the potential members don't even know you exist? They have to proselytize you. They have to send people out and scout and recruit and look for people who fit the profile. They need to do that, because if they didn't, they wouldn't have any members. So what they do is, in these, especially these like all male schools, the one I went to, see, and I didn't know this at the time. I was just like 14 years old. I didn't know anything. Yeah. Like, Masons will send their kids to these schools. Their kids will be instructed to look for certain people with certain character traits, certain personality traits, who are prime, for recruiting. Once they've identified someone who could potentially be a recruit, they will start the process of, I wouldn't say initiation, but you could say initiation. It's like a subtle sort of initiation, where they get you accustomed to certain things, stuff like that. That's what happened with me. And it was a long process of 4 to 5 years of him just working on me, not harassing me, just working on me, right? Trying to get me accustomed to certain things, certain ideas, certain beliefs, stuff like that. He was very probing. He was very wanted to know what I thought about things. He wanted to know what my opinion was on this, what my opinion was on that. And I'm very open. I'm very I always have been. I don't change just because this happened. I was the same back then. I was very open with what I believe, very vocal about it. And he would always ask me, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? He would always try to see how I'd react to certain scenarios. And, I think after a few months to 1 year had passed, I think he realized, once this guy's 18, he could be a good candidate for the society, right? So what happened was, we became very good friends. Like, the bond was indestructible, seemed indestructible, and we were very good friends. I trusted him a lot, and I could have never ever expected something like this to happen, dude. It's like, I could have never expected a twist like that in my entire life. I could have never expected that. It reached a point, we were very good friends, man, for years, 4 or 5 years. And, I think it reached a point where, he sort of realized that he had told me too much, especially about some certain things, and I was deemed a threat. You see, because I think it reached a point, once we were adults, 18, 19, I don't know what it was that I did, but he changed one day. He changed before the harassment began. Maybe 4, 5, 6 months beforehand, he changed. His attitude towards me changed. I noticed it. And I never confronted him about it. Never asked him, what's wrong or something. Because he would always, he would still act kind of friendly towards me, but I knew something was wrong. And, he started priming me. And then, after a few months, the harassment became overt. I think they realized, because everything that I would tell him, he would feed back to the lodge. You better believe that. When they're recruiting someone, it's not just him as like a one-man army. He is just a foot soldier for the people behind him, right? Either his parents, someone his parents are connected to, something like that. through the lodge. So there was a point where I think the hierarchy or whatever realized that I was not suitable for the organization, and that was when he realized that he had kind of revealed too much. He did a bit of a sloppy job, and he was not an unintelligent person. He was not unintelligent, you see, but he did a kind of a sloppy job, I think, and I think he kind of miscalculated my intentions and my personality a little bit. I think he couldn't. I think he had. I think he thought. I think they thought they had me figured out, but they really didn't, and it kind of backfired. So at that point, I became a threat, and then the gang stalking began. You see, my story, your story, everyone's story is different, and I can't speak for everyone. I can just speak for myself, and some people are targeted for completely different reasons. Like, it has nothing to do with the Masonic stuff, has nothing to do with the government. Some people are just targeted for, every story is different. But yeah, it's these people, like this guy, when, because I had known him for years. I knew this guy well. When the harassment began, and it gives me fucking chills to this day, it was like a fucking devil came out of him, dude. It was like he changed, his entire personality, the way he talked to me, the things he would say, it was like he was possessed. It was extremely hostile. It was like, in this sort of very clownish, devilish way. It was very strange. And it kind of blew my mind, really. It really did. And then that went on for a little while, maybe a year or so, and then he broke off contact. Other mutual friends of both of ours were starting the harassment, and see, I didn't realize at that point that other people were involved, like mutual friends of ours. I would talk to them about it, and then I realized, holy shit, okay, there's something going on here. And it was also tied in with the government. They had, I haven't gotten into everything that happened, but certain government agencies, all that stuff, man. And it was a roller coaster, dude. For years, it was a roller coaster. It kind of died down a little bit. It started in 2016. That's when it became overt, and then it kind of died down to 2019-ish. There was harassment taking place, but it wasn't intense. It wasn't very intense. Once COVID happened, a little bit before that, actually, before the lockdowns, that's when they started it again. They had someone infiltrate my life, a mutual friend of ours, who also attended that same school that I mentioned before. I actually made a video talking about the 2020 re-infiltration. You can find it on my channel. And yeah, it was unbelievable. It was really unbelievable. And it can stress you out to the point where you kind of make yourself sick, That's why I tell people, don't, how do I say this? Don't give it so much attention. right? Like, don't, like, I don't mean talking about it. Talking about it like this is fine. But the actual harassment and the sort of suggestive remarks they make about what they're doing to you, don't just automatically believe it. If they tell you that they're fucking with you with a weapon, don't just believe it. Remember, these people are liars. Why would you believe the words of known liars? And it would benefit them, wouldn't it, if they can convince you that it's psychotronic weapons doing this to you, because then it makes you feel hopeless, and on top of that, it makes you appear delusional to everyone else. That's what you cannot let happen. You cannot let it get to the point where you ostracize yourself because you're making these wild claims. You have to really, and honestly, man, you just have to go through the fire. You have to go through it. And, with me, I almost died, dude. Like, late 2021, I had like a mini heart attack. One day I was just sitting there and boom. I couldn't breathe. It felt like my heart was squeezing. I lost a lot of weight around that time. Like, I weigh 85, 86 kilos right now. I weighed like 60 kilos at this time, like 25 kilos less, like over 50 pounds less when at age 25, 24. Yeah. And it was rough, until maybe 2023. From 2016 to 2023, it was relentless. It was relentless. Then it kind of stopped, and then it kind of started again. And now it's kind of died down again. And now, I see it very differently now. It's almost like, I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if they backed off because I realized certain things about the program. Sometimes I wonder. Like, I think they still keep tabs, but I think they miscalculated again. I think they thought that they would completely and utterly kind of shatter my mind or something, or I would drive myself crazy with it. And I think they miscalculated again, just like they did with the, trying to recruit me, unbeknownst to me. And they miscalculated then, and I think they miscalculated now. They still keep tabs on me, and they still do things sometimes, but not in the same way. And but yeah, I just wanted to clarify, what I meant by a few things I said last night. And again, everyone's situation is different. Some things you guys experience, I haven't experienced. So I can't speak on every aspect of gang stalking, but I can speak on what I did experience. And I think a lot of you guys can relate to it. A lot of the gaslighting, a lot of the kind of mental fucking abuse that they hit you with, and the flip-flopping they do, where they like pretend to be your friend and then they sort of will just attack you out of nowhere, that type of shit. Yeah. And you have to really remember human nature, right? Like, people in this day and age, right? And all throughout time, really, have always been dickheads. People have always been dickheads. Just because someone is being a dickhead, it doesn't mean that they're part of the program. You will know when there's a perpetrator. Like, there will be no doubt that they are a perpetrator and that they're involved. But don't let the program break your mind down to the point where you start thinking that Everyone is harassing you because that's what they want. That's what the perpetrators want. They want to see you harassing everyone and fucking because then it's like mission accomplished. We fucked him. We fucked her. Like, boom. Once you start accusing everyone, and look, coincidences are real. Coincidences do happen. And the way they target you, they try to make it seem sort of coincidental, and then it fucks your whole idea of coincidence up, and you start thinking there is no coincidence, blah blah blah. But you have to keep your rational mind. You have to, it's a. He said to me once, my main perp, he's like, all it is a test of your mental stability. And I was like, you fucking asshole. But no, he's right. You see, because he would say things to me that were completely bullshit. And now, but looking back now, he would give me little clues. Like, even though they are fucking with you and they are fucking with you, he's right. It's a test of your mental stability. If you start to believe that everybody is in on it just because they made some remark one day, keep in mind, people are dickheads, dude. People, in general, they're not perps, right? Just regular people, they are dickheads. People have always been dickheads since the beginning of fucking time, alright? So, make sure you don't end up thinking that everybody is like a gang stalker and shit like that, because that is really like what they want. That's what the perpetrators want. They want you to think that they're omnipresent and fucking all-knowing and fucking they do know a lot. They are very powerful, but they're not God. You see? They play as God. They try to act like they're God, but they're not. And again, yeah. You're the only one who has control of your mind. Not a psychotronic weapon. Not the words of some gang stalker, nothing. You are in control of your mind. And if you don't believe that, you have to reclaim that control of your mind. Because otherwise, it's just going to lead deeper and deeper and, And I almost died, dude. Like, I almost died. I had a fucking heart attack at age 24. Like, it was no joke. It was no joke, dude. I've been through it all. I've been through the ringer. And, I'm okay now. But Jesus Christ. Like, they had me all over the place mentally. Like, playing me like a fucking, like a human pinata, as Sean Penn says in the game. If you have not seen the game, you have to watch that movie. That movie is the best, again, it's the best depiction of organized harassment in film. It's I've seen it like 7 or 8 times at this point. And each time you watch it, you'll notice little things that you haven't seen before, didn't pick up on before. It's a very good movie. Yeah. People talk about certain TI movies. That one for me is my number one by far. The game. It's the most accurate thing, and it shows you. I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but it shows you. If you watch the movie, you'll understand. None of us are perfect, but you have to admit to yourself, right? Compare yourself before the gang stalking began compared to now. You have to admit that it changes you a lot. It changes you a lot. And I don't mean all for the negative. You can find silver linings in it. And, yeah. You can use it to become better. Right? Not saying that you weren't fine before. Not saying you weren't a good person before, or that you deserve it. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, like, out of adversity, you can get much stronger than you were before, mentally, emotionally. It's like they say, you know, pressure creates diamonds, right? So with that, I'm going to log off. This was a good video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. If you have any questions, hit me in the comment section, and I'll either reply to you or make a video response. If it's a good question, I'll make a video response to it. You guys take care.